Lovely. I'm not saying this year has driven me to drink, but if ever there was a visual metaphor, there it was. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me in what is undoubtedly my last video of the year. This is just going to be a quick collection update. He says he never does quick videos, does he? Yeah, I just wanted to cap the year off by doing a state of the collection update. Obviously, there hasn't really been that much to buy this year. It's been pretty quiet, as we all know, due to the incident. But yeah, speaking of which, yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a year, let's face it. But you know, it's nearly behind us. We're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel now, so hopefully we'll all escape this purgatory before too much longer. I just wanted to create something to say thanks to everyone who has helped keep me going this year. I've been quite fortunate in a lot of respects. You know, my day job, my career has been going well. I've recently been promoted, so that's kept me really busy. Part of the reason I haven't done as many videos actually, but also the fandom in general. I've really appreciated the engagement on the YouTube videos. Up to nearly 400 subscribers, or maybe even more now. I think I'm over 400 now. So I appreciate everyone who has subscribed newly, everyone who was a subscriber, and those who don't subscribe but still watch. It's really great to know that there are people out there who appreciate what I do. It's not something I've ever sought. You know, I'm not doing this to monetize my channel. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm purely a fan like the rest of you who just likes to make the odd video for a creative outlet. But it's been really great chatting to you all, and I do try and get back to everyone as and when I can. Apologies if I do miss your comment, if it's weeks or months later, that sometimes happens. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone. And yeah, there have been other ways people have supported me this year as well, whether it's been Facebook groups that I'm a member of, holding watch parties for the movie or the new Transformers series or other films in general, or the forums that I'm a member of, like TFW, which is largely supportive, sometimes quite divisive, but you know, generally I do enjoy visiting. Other Facebook groups, you know, UK Facebook groups that I'm a member of, and just the fandom in general. There's some really great people in it, and I'm very happy to be part of it. Apologies, I've got a little bit of it's not a cold, but I've been out walking and my nose is running, so apologies. Anyway, I digress as usual. So yeah, I just want to say thanks. That's really the purpose of this intro. And yeah, hopefully you've all had a great Christmas, and you will have a fantastic New Year. We're only, I think, about 4 hours away as I record this. So yeah, not long to go now until 2021. And as I say, hopefully a better year for all of us. You know, I know toys, as we say, aren't the most important thing in the grand scheme of things, but I think it's important to keep yourself busy, energized and engaged, and if this brings you joy, then as far as I'm concerned, it's not a frivolous enterprise, is it? You know, if you spend a couple of £100 a month on plastic crack, so to speak, and it makes you, you know, it enables you to get through the year as it is, then yeah, I think it's money well spent. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video and a look at my collection as it currently stands. I'm looking forward to some new stuff in the new year to round things off. And yeah, I would really appreciate comments on it. I always like to chat, and links to your own collections, etc. Figures you're looking forward to in the new year, things you want to know more about. If you want me to elaborate on any of the things in my collection, please let me know. I can do a separate video maybe. Always looking for new ideas for content. Not sure my last one about the comics went down as well as I'd hoped, but we'll see. Anyway, enough of me rambling, and let's get on with the real attraction here, which are the toys. So yeah, take care everyone, and I'll see you in the new year. Thanks for joining me. And so here we are with the first, I guess, major alteration to my display. This used to have both my generations of Autobot leaders. I had my Optimus and my Megatron and my Galvatron and Rodimus up here, but I've moved things around, as you can see. So I've now got my KO MP44 up there with the battle damage and his dead eyes. Serves a purpose. Not a great, rip off, to be honest. There's a lot of issues with it, but on a shelf like this, if you're not posing it too much, it does the job. And then I ended up keeping my Hasbro Rodimus just because, well, I like to be reminded of the Hasbro colour scheme, because it was what was used in the comics. And I thought it would look good with the Takara trailer as well. And, you know, he doesn't really go for that much in the aftermarket, so I thought I'd keep him. Also got my alt modes here for figures I've replaced, upgraded, etc. I'll probably hang on to them. Again, I could probably sell a few of them for a bit, but I'd probably lose on them, which is what really irks me. So they'll almost certainly stay in alt mode, and hopefully I'll keep the space to be able to do so. Moving down to the main cabinet now, this one hasn't really seen a lot of change, to be honest. If any, since the last video. I've got the big lad there, Predaking, still an impressive looking figure. Not at full height because the display case won't accommodate that, but also because his legs are not great, because it's obviously oversized KO and not designed to be load bearing in the way that it is. Can barely support the gun, and the sword has to be propped up and everything, but it looks pretty good there next to Catilla. And obviously we have Devi down here, the Combiner Wars version. This is the European one with replaced hands. I managed to buy the hands separately. I think I've mentioned that before. And then we have the first Make toys, however you prefer to say it. Conehead, Dirge, what do they call it? Endgame? Is it Endgame? I forget. I really hope they go ahead and release the other two. Not least because I want to complete the set, but also because I want the wing fillers for the original Seekers as well. So I've left a little space there for Thrust and Ramjet as and when they get released. I'm quite buoyed by the fact that they've released their Downbeat remix, and they've shown prototypes, or at least pictures of their Meteor X, and they've announced they're going to release an Acid Storm or whatever, so hopefully we will actually see the rest of the Coneheads. And down to the bottom, nothing really changed here. Again, the biggest transformer in my collection is still Gabriel, DX9's Amiga Supreme. Kind of sad to hear that DX9 has gone the way of the Dodo now, because I've always loved this figure, QC issues aside. It looks absolutely brilliant, it's spot on. I just wish I had a better place to store it, or display it, I should say, at full height, not hunched over like this. But lack of storage space is something that's prevented me from buying an even bigger figure, which I'll mention in a bit. Down the bottom, few of Season 2 bots. No real story behind that, other than I don't really collect Season 2. There are a few reasons why I have these. Cosmos had some really cool episodes in the G1 animation, so I wanted that. Likewise, Powerglide obviously had the sort of really standout episode, The Girl Who Loved Powerglide, and he was fairly regular in Season 2, I think. Smokescreen, I got the updated deco just because I'd done it for all the other Datsuns. I thought, yeah, why not? It was the beginning of the year, actually, when just before lockdown was looming, and it came out, and there was no other figure on the horizon, so I thought I'd pick him up while I could, and it was a good choice actually, because yeah, it was the first and last purchase I made for some time. Skids, obviously, from his Marvel Comics appearance, because he barely appeared in the toon, and Tracks, just because I loved the original G1 toy, loved the colour, the alt mode, etc. So yeah, that's where I've got them. Moving around, this room actually now is doubling as my collection room and as my home office, because I've been working from home for the best part of a year now. It's a bit cramped, but I've tidied it a little bit to make it a little bit less so. I've got my Optimus here, my TE01, Transform Elements Prime, OP Leader they call it, don't they? V1 and V3 there, just because I don't really have anywhere else to display them at the moment. I thought I'd just stick them on the desk, along with my remote control BB-8 and R2-D2. And I've also put my Autobot insignia on the wall, along the Decepticon one, either side of this poster, just because they didn't fit where they were previously. This poster is here because it was left to me by someone who recently passed away, so it doesn't fit the room thematically, but you know, I wanted to put it somewhere, and that was the best place I had for it. Moving on, we come to another shelf that hasn't really changed. I have reposed some of the figures, so Trailbreaker's got a slightly more dynamic pose back there. Same goes for Ironhide, although his knees look weird to my eyes. I will probably do something else with Blue Streak, actually. I might put him in a kneeling pose just to differentiate him from Prowl. I'm glad I got the original version of Downbeat as well, because from what I've seen, the new one is more toy inspired. Apart from the blue headlights, I don't know why that has blue headlights and this doesn't, but anyway, yeah, still a great jazz. Moving down, we come to a shelf that's actually got a new figure, a new acquisition on it. So this TE03, the Transform Elements Speedstar Mirage, is probably one of the few figures I picked up this year. Really great interpretation of the character. I still think it's a little bit light on the blue side, but you know, I've got over that a long time ago now. It's so good in every other area. I reposed Hound to be slightly more dynamic. Moved some of the figures around, I believe, from the last time I did a video. So yeah, that's where I am with that now. Obviously, all my ARC crew, my G1 ARC crew, is completely finished now, unless of course we get better versions, in which case, you know, hey, I'm almost certainly going to buy them, aren't I? I am weak. Let's go down to the Autobot movie display, and we have some Junkions at the back there, Retgar and Dumpyard, or was it Junkyard? I think it might be Crash Hog and Dumpyard, and then, yeah, Junkyard is the character name, not the toy name. Anyway, I'm toying with the idea of transforming him into his alt mode and having Retgar ride him, so it gives a bit more space for the eventual arrival of Lock and Virtus, which will be my Cup and Springer. I have Lock on order, and he looks fantastic, and I'm quite happy to say that his reported height is 7.48 inches, which will put him nicely in scale with the Fans Toys movie bots, not the Takara Hot Rod and RC, thank God. Speaking of the RC, I toyed with the idea of getting MP51. I still almost am, I think. But I just can't get over some of its failings. You know, I can't get over that bloody horrendous chest design. I mean, I know that's got a gap in the chest, but at least the angle's correct and it doesn't have a stupidly long collar. And the backpack, you know, the backpack ruins the silhouette on the Takara because it bulges out either side, so when the arms are up you can see it. You know, I know it's better in some respects. Everything from the waist down's better in terms of what's the word I'm looking for, in terms of aesthetics, but not in terms of posability, because the legs can't move back. They only have 2 ratchet clicks forward. They don't do the splits, whereas, you know, this Rouge can do all of that. You get pretty much the same articulation in the arms, or it doesn't have a butterfly joint, but it can still pull off this sort of pose that, you know, looks perfectly good. The face sculpts, yeah, again, the head sculpt actually is more accurate. Here they're straight down, whereas they should be more angled like they are on MP51, but it's a passable enough RC. I mean, you know, when you put it next to the curvier version of MP51, some of the issues do show, and obviously the crotch piece isn't exactly accurate on that, and the knees are not accurate because you can see the black tars rather than it being pink, and she's black there instead of grey. But honestly, you know, as an interpretation, you know, obviously the pylons as well aren't perfect. I've got that mistransformed on purpose, by the way. Yeah, even so, I think I'm going to stick with her because her height's better for my scale. I mean, that said, you know what I'm like. I've caved before, haven't I? So my next video could well be MP51, just so I can, you know, actually slag it off from a position of informed opinion rather than just viewing it. Anyway, talking about that way too much. Lock and Virtus reviews will be coming when they are available. Moving on down, nothing's really changed here. Still have the big boy Magnus at the back. He is wildly out of scale, as we all know, but still looks great. My preferred deco, just because of tune accuracy, is the Takara MP09 there, Rodimus. And then I've got my oversized KO of Grimlock, King Grimlock, Reximus Prime, with little wheelie, X-Transbots wheelie bouncing on the back, courtesy of some Pledge floor polish to tighten up his hip joints. Okay, so moving on to the next cabinet, we have the official MP44 with all of his, well, not all of his, but most of his bits and pieces. Roller there, the combat deck, the minifigs. The minifig from Hound, which I think is a much better scale for the humans. I really like that. I wish they'd release a line in that scale. You know, a Carly, a Sparkplug, Dr. Arkaville, you know, a Burger, Sean Burger, whatever. Any of the prominent humans. You know, that would be something I'd go for. Even a Charlene, or Charlene, whatever it was from the G1 comic, Marvel comic, to go with skids. Moving on down, this shelf actually contains probably one of the only figures, or maybe the only figure in my collection that I'm actively sort of looking to replace as soon as possible, and that is this poor little guy here, because now that I've got MP45, he is aesthetically out of step with everything else, really. He's too short, he's got boat feet, he's got a giant backpack. Yeah, poor Cliffy, not looking great there. Still the best of the cliff jumpers available, I think, but yeah, really falling behind now. Obviously, Hunk was another acquisition this year, looks great, really, really good. Much more aesthetically pleasing than Bagcube's Brawny, which is a nice interpretation, but that's all it is. That's way more toon accurate, which is, you know, my jam, as you'll know if you're a long time viewer of the channel. Haven't really touched anything else. Still think the Bagcube bots at the back there look okay. Even their feet aren't as bad as usual Bagcube feet are, so they're alright. When Fans Toys do their version, I may get it, I may not. I will definitely get Fans Toys version of that, because you know it will be scaled with MP45, so I'll pick that up for sure, and it will be better. You just know it will be. They've had enough time to work on the engineering. Probably just take that and slightly change it, won't they? I kind of like this version of Windcharger. That's the alternate one from the one I have on the alt mode, just because it's more toon accurate, mostly more toon accurate. But yeah, it can still be improved upon, so hopefully someone one day will take another stab at him to make his feet less horrendous and various other bits. I'll try to go a little bit quicker now. Here we have Fans Toys Phoenix, which is still one of my favourite ever bots, as I say, mostly because I got such an insanely good deal. I think a year or so after it was released, I got it for less than it would originally have been at retail, thanks to a late night eBay deal. Someone obviously listed it late, and then there was no one watching it apart from me, and I managed to get it for under £150, I think, which was fantastic. And I've tied it all up with Pledge, so now he hasn't got wobbly wrists and stuff like that. So great. Got the little blue lobster. Frank, well, no, what's it called? Is it? No, it's not X-Frank, is it? I forget what it's called. Oh my god, that's bad. Maybe it is X-Frank. I don't know. All I know is obviously it's Autobot X, and X-Transbots are releasing their own version, which actually now is starting to look pretty good from the prototypes I've seen. So I may well get that for more articulation, because this is just clearly a PVC statue, but it still looks pretty good and fills a gap on the shelf. Nothing's changed down here. The reflector there at the back is more of a best efforts one. I mean, I know there are two other sets that could have filled the job. Well, actually one are too short and the wrong colour, but I did like the X-Transbot or KFC version, but I still feel the Fans Toys are better overall. I'd never pay what Fans Toys go for nowadays, but I got this set for $160 aftermarket, which was a really good deal. I know it was probably 90 quid when it came out, but still, it's now 300 odd quid every time I see it, so I saved a lot of money just by getting that deal. And yeah, other than that, I would have gone for the KFC, especially the reissues with the fixes. And again, similarly, there's no way I'm paying what people want for the Fans Toys bugs. And I know they've got slightly better feet, you know, although actually this is the only one that really suffers from the Bagcube feet issue. Yeah, I like the colour change gimmick on the chest, even though it's a bit dark. And I still think they all look pretty great, to be honest. Really good interpretations of the Decepticons. So yeah, Fans Toys would maybe be better, but not like, you know, I bought this entire set for less than one Fans Toys bug would cost me now, so yeah. There we go. Moving over to the Decepticons. Nothing's really changed here. Got my official MP Soundwave and, well, Shockwave, not Laserwave as they call him. I will replace Soundwave with Acoustic Wave and the other cassettes when Fans Toys get around to releasing that, because I'm sure it'll be more G1 accurate. But that was my first ever Masterpiece figure. It was a gift, and so I'll always cherish it. Great looking figure, and obviously I've upgraded it with the light up eyes and gun, etc. Same for the Shockwave. I've changed the head to be an LED piece. That's my KO Megs there. Just prefer the colour scheme, to be honest, holding Prime's head. Nothing really to say there. Moving down, yeah, the Mackay Make Toys Seekers. Still really good visual interpretations. I do like MP52, is it? Starscream coming out. I think I probably will pick that up just to compare with this. It is more rounded, more organic looking around the legs, etc., and various other bits, and it's slightly more accurate. I don't like the way the wings are shifted back and the mass is all on the back of the figure, but I think it does look better, definitely better than MP51 RC, so I probably will grab that. And I'm assuming we'll get repaints of Thundercracker and Skywarp at some point, so that'll be another 600 quid I'm in the hole for. But anyway, I'll still always keep these, because even if I do replace them, I'll keep them for alt mode because they look great and they're amazing bots as it is. And as I say, I hope to get the wing fillers at some point. Going down, we have my Decepticon movie display. Got my Toon Galvatron there in as close an approximation of his movie pose as I could pull off. I think it looks pretty sweet actually. I've got my Toon Cyclonus there, and then my OG Scourge, although the OG one is more Toon accurate than the repaint that was recently released, which is way too dark for my money, and also because I have eyes and I can look at the actual screen comparisons. So yeah, I don't really understand X-Transbots thinking with making the repaint so dark. It's not accurate to anything, and the legs are silver rather than... Yeah, anyway. Nothing has come out that even... Well, there is no other option for Scourge. I'm sure Fans Toys will do theirs at some point, but who knows when. They teased it ages ago, didn't they? We've seen nothing since. But yeah, great shelf. Love that. Looks really good now. Yeah, nothing much more to say other than 3 of my favourite all-time cons. Down to the bottom, and yeah, you can see how much I love Cyclonus, can't you? Because I kept the original Quietus for IDW mode, even though I'm not in favour of IDW in any way, shape or form. I just thought it looked really cool, so I couldn't bring myself to sell it. And I have my original X-Transbots Elagos back there. Now the repaint of that does look better actually. It looks really good. It's a slightly darker purple and slightly darker accents, but still Toon accurate. They've made the white bits pink, as they should be, and they've done new face sculpts that look just a hell of a lot better. They can't fix anything below the knees because of the engineering, and I still think that's by far the worst part of this figure, but everything from the knees up I think is arguably superior in terms of G1 accuracy to the Fans Toys effort. So who knows, I may rotate the display again because I'll probably end up getting it, because I can never have enough Cyclone Eye. He's one of my favourite. Yeah, Hydra back there for 6 shots, still a bit nothing. I bought it when there was nothing coming out. I've got him in his sort of non-aligned mode. There's no insignia on him, as you'll see, no faction symbols, so he's more like the Headmaster's version, you know, the ninja consultant. It's just there to be a large counterpart to Magnus, to be honest. And then I've got my Nemesis Prime redeco of TE01, the TE01B. Can't believe that hasn't garnered more interest actually. I think my TE01 video's got something like 11,000 views, which is the most of anything on my channel, and this has 600 odd. Strange, but yeah, still an amazing looking bot, and I think that the black redeco looks amazing, so yeah, glad to have that. Let's move up to now what is the sort of centerpiece of the display. Oh, just before I do that, I've got a mid shelf here which has got some of my other alt modes, my Datsuns, my Wheeljack as well, and my Fans Toys Hound. Yeah, nowhere else for these, so the alt modes go there now that they've all been replaced. And here, as you can see, I've slightly rearranged things. I've got my my figure of the year there, definitely Cell, 01 Studios Cell, and I've put him up there he was on the other shelf, the first shelf we looked at originally, and I've got him next to my other Sovereign, my original OG, sort of more purple than blue Sovereign, just because that made sense to me. They were, when you saw Galvatron in robot mode with Unicron in robot mode, and I've even got the little Abaddon prototype figure down there, the little one that came with Elagos. And yeah, I still think Cell's really great. I mean, it's not completely accurate, but it's more accurate, objectively more accurate in bot mode than the forthcoming HasLab one. The HasLab one, for my money, is just takes too many liberties. Hate the shell forming aspect of it, hate all the kibble hanging off of it, hate its weird proportions. It's too big for my display. Like, where would I put it? If I'd have got it, I'd display it in alt mode, but even then I don't really have the room for it. So I almost bought one the other day. Someone was selling their pre-order on eBay for 500 odd quid, which was a steal. assuming I ever got it, but considering it's like $650 to $750 if you wanted to buy it elsewhere. But and I can afford it. I just can't rationalise spending that much money on something I don't want or I don't like very much. And I think it's not Core Star now, is it? Well, it is Core Star, but Cell, as it was renamed, does such a good job. Okay, these bits they're not, they're symmetrical rather than asymmetrical, and that could have been easily avoided if they just made one of the panels on either side different, like reversed, mirrored. It would have solved a lot of people's complaints about it, although it's such a silly, weird complaint. That is the thing they moan about. And point out as being a flaw with this figure and ignore all the things that are off about the HasLab one. Anyway, I'm getting on my soapbox. But also the face, people say that's not accurate, but I can show you pictures where that is accurate. In fact, it's obviously inspired by the Japanese poster and some of the season 3 episodes and some of the shots in the movie where his face changed to about 3 different versions depending on what scene it was. But anyway, figure of the year, almost certainly. Love it. Waited 34 years for that bad boy. And in fact, I liked it so much that I went and did something silly. And yes, I bought another one for alt mode. Yes, of course I did. I got a bonus a little while back. And it was enough to buy this outright. So I thought, sod it, going to do it for planet mode. And again, it makes sense to have him with my official MP36 in his beat up, had my ass kicked by Prime mode. And when he first encounters Unicron, I've swapped out the panels with the bluer ones, so it's got a more uniform aesthetic. Admittedly, the HasLab Planet mode is much better than this. I will say it is. It definitely is. It's more It's still not completely G1 faithful, but it's a lot more similar to the aesthetic. It's designed and obviously engineered to be that before it was the bot. They prioritised that mode clearly, and it shows. And it's huge, and it would look great, but where would I put it? It'd be too big for anywhere. So I'm very happy with this as a substitute. It's still very evocative of Unicron as a character. Okay, you can see it's obviously parts forming. There's more if you want those teeth out, but like from the front it doesn't really show. The ring is too small, sure, and the trench is too thick and doesn't have the big orange circles there. You don't have the sort of different details on the poles, the colours to emulate the snow. The trench just stops at the rear and doesn't have the big circle. So yeah, I freely admit that, like, detail-wise, it is not accurate, but it still looks pretty bloody good. And it's amazing to me that can fold up and contort into what is almost a perfect spheroid. I mean, there are a few gaps. That's the only real one I've got on it. I've managed to get everything else pretty flush. That just wouldn't go without popping other stuff out, so I gave up in the end. But still, I think it looks pretty damn good. So yeah, very, very happy to have that as a centerpiece. As I say, for 34 years, I've been waiting for a Unicron that looks even half as good as he did in the movie, or even anything like he did in the movie. And now I have a representation of both modes, and it creates a nice sort of centerpiece for the collection, for the movie collection as well, having that. I may even reorganise the shelves to have the movie ones at the top, though a bit disrespectful to G1, that, isn't it? There's other options anyway. There's ways I can do it. Yeah, that's the state of the collection as of New Year's Eve 2020. And yeah, I've got, as I say, I've got a few others. I've got my eye on a few others. I've got Lock on Order, Virtus. I definitely will get when they re-announce it. It's been pulled for some more adjustments, I think. They're redesigning it at the 11th hour. There's obviously that, as I say, MP52, Starscream I'll probably get. I may even get 51, who knows, we'll see. If I cave in the next day or so, I might get one. That might be my next video. Hopefully not. Hopefully, but I'll be strong. I really don't like it enough. It's a lot of money to spend on something I don't like, just for the channel. But done it before, haven't I? Anyway, sorry, I do my usual digression. I just want to say thanks for everyone for sticking with me throughout the year. I know there hasn't been a lot of content compared to the year before. There just hasn't been much out, really, or it's been a weird old year all round, hasn't it? That's putting it mildly. But yeah, thanks to everyone who was a subscriber. Thanks to everyone who has subscribed or is newly subscribed. Thanks to everyone who's watched without subscribing. But if you fancy subscribing, hit the button. If you don't, completely up to you. This is purely a hobby for me. I don't make any money out of it. I don't do it for any personal gain. In fact, it costs me hundreds actually, but I do it. I do it because I love sharing the fandom with you guys. And yeah, I'd be very interested in hearing your thoughts on anything in the display. Also, if anyone knows where I can get some nice stands so I can elevate some of the rear figures to a sort of higher plane than the ones in the front, I haven't quite found anything that fits my needs that doesn't cost a stupid amount of money. So if anyone has a good source for those that I don't know about, if there's anything people know on Amazon or elsewhere, say something in the comments. That'd be much appreciated. I'm sure you know what I mean. Those like acrylic stands, they don't have to be huge, they just have to be enough so that I can have 2 levels in each, and they'll fit in each of these display cases. So a few options would be good. So yeah, that would be a public service to me. Anyway, thanks a lot, and I hope you all have had a great Christmas and you're going to have a good New Year. I hope tonight goes well, even though it's going to be a bit of a weird one. I'm just probably going to sit down, watch Earthrise and drink too much after having eaten too much. So yeah, thanks a lot again, and take care everyone. Put my teeth back in. Take care everyone, and I will see you in the new year for some more content.